Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Fairy Tale Saturdays. We are back and I hope you guys are having an amazing year so far. Like every Fairy Tale Saturday, we go ahead and start with a science experiment followed by a bedtime story. Now for today's science experiment, we will be using materials like all our science experiments. We use materials that are easily accessible, easy to find, probably right in your home. We don't want to encourage you to go to the store just for these materials. We want you to have fun and we want you to do it with no worries and no cares in the world. We just want it to be easy, accessible, and fun for everyone in all ages. So I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I will. What you guys are gonna need, you'll see right here, you will need some baking soda, you will need some white vinegar, you will need a cup, a clear glass, and some water, and my favorite, some candy. So you can use pretty much any candy, popcorn, whatever you want to choose. But for this episode, we're gonna do it Valentine's Day themed. So we got some sweethearts with the hearts having words on them. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. But like I said, if you don't have the candy, use popcorn kernels or a little thing that you can drop into the glass because this is just for show. Okay, so I hope you guys are excited. Let's get started. So first, as you can see, I have my clear glass and I have it with water. First step, very simple, very easy. Next step, you're gonna grab a spoon and you're gonna get your baking soda. And you don't even need the spoon. You could just, if you want to measure out, if you're a person who loves measuring, go ahead and measure it out. But if you don't want to measure, go ahead and just put your baking soda in your water. So we can see the baking soda going right in. All right, so we're just gonna let that settle just a little bit. We want to make sure that this experiment will work really well. So you can just let that settle, let it clear out. Just let the dust settle. And then you are gonna go ahead and add your hearts to the jar. So go ahead and grab them, and then you're just gonna put them right inside. So there we go, you see them right there? So we have a lot of sweethearts, so you could use some for another craft or eat them. We're only gonna use a few, or if you wanna keep doing this science experiment over and over again, then go ahead and just have fun with this. So we have our hearts, we have our baking soda, we have our water. Now our final ingredient is gonna be the white vinegar. So what's gonna happen? Well, our observations are that the baking powder is at the bottom. We also see the hearts at the bottom, and we just see the clear water. Now when we add vinegar, what do you guys think is gonna happen? Let's go ahead and find out. So you have our white vinegar. Go ahead and open that very carefully. You don't want to drop it in before you do your experiment. So let's get started. We're gonna just pour some white vinegar inside. We see some bubbles forming, some fizzing. You can even hear it. You saw some bubbles pop. You see the bubbles rising. That's really cool, huh? Even just the water and the baking soda in itself is fun to watch. Anyways, this is kind of how the lava lamp experiment works out too. And then we're just gonna go ahead and shake my hearts up. Make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they can separate. Sometimes they get really stuck to the bottom. So we're just gonna get them unstuck. And we see the fizziness. We also see some colorations. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put some more baking soda because we're missing some parts of the experiment. All right, so we see some fizzing. And then we're gonna pour some more vinegar. Ooh, it almost shot off out of the glass. So these hearts just might be a little too heavy because what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to rise and fall with those bubbles. But you can see closely, those bubbles are rising and they're popping once at the surface of the water. So this experiment really entails just a reaction between baking soda and vinegar. So what's happening is that they're reacting and creating something, and they're creating carbon dioxide, they're creating water, and they're creating salt. And that carbon dioxide will rise to the top, and then it'll pop, and then it'll sink. So that's what's happening here with that reaction. The hearts were supposed to rise with the carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide usually links to the hearts and usually links to whatever is around, and then that will rise. Now these hearts just might be a little too heavy, but if you have the actual brand of sweethearts, those work a lot better. This was just this brand, and I guess that one doesn't work very well, but that's okay. It was still really fun to see the bubbles pop. Isn't that really cool? So it was still fun to see the bubbles. No problem. I had really fun with this. Now, we've done this experiment before with popcorn. It does really well because popcorn kernels are very light. And we've also been doing this with lava and oil and food coloring. But I just wanted to make it a little more fun with Valentine's coming up. But like I said, just go ahead and use actual hearts or the other brand. I couldn't find them, but if you can find them, you're more than welcome to do the science experiment or do it with popcorn. And I'm just gonna go ahead and enjoy these for myself because that's a huge bag of sweethearts, and I'm happy I got these because I like these a lot better. So there, the bubbles are still gonna go until it stops reacting. And it has that nice hue of pink. So it's really, really interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get our fairy tale reading book to read a bedtime story. Here we are. Let's see, what story do I want to read today? I got one. We haven't read this one before. It's called Opening Night. It was opening night at the Royal Theater, and Princess Cinderella was excited to see the show. As the curtain went up, the star stepped onto the stage. Cinderella smiled. She knew the performer. It was Corinne, a singer she had met long before becoming a princess. Years before, Cinderella's stepmother, Lady Tremaine, had hosted a gathering at her chateau where girls could learn how to play an instrument and take singing lessons. Lessons sounded boring to Lady Tremaine's two daughters, Drizella and Anastasia, but Cinderella thought it was a wonderful idea. "I'd love to come," she said. Lady Tremaine narrowed her eyes. "Why, Cinderella, do you really have that much free time?" she said. Lady Tremaine narrowed her eyes. "Why, Cinderella, do you really have that much free time?" "You have far too many chores to do," Cinderella, stepmother continued. The next day, lessons began. Cinderella slipped away from her chores to peek in. One girl, standing off to the side, caught her attention. She had the sweetest voice Cinderella had ever heard. Her name was Corinne. Anastasia and Drizella were immediately jealous of Corinne's talent. "You're not special," hissed Drizella. "Your voice is so quiet. No one can even hear you." "Which is a good thing, since you sound like a goose," mocked Anastasia. evening, Lady Tremaine said, "Anastasia, you must do something about your flute playing. Work harder, dear." "It's not my fault," replied Anastasia. "I always play the right notes, but my flute plays something else. I think it's broken." "I see," said Lady Tremaine. "I'll have Cinderella pick up a new one for you." But at the music shop the next morning, the shopkeeper couldn't find anything wrong with Anastasia's flute. "Even so, Anastasia wants a new one," Cinderella explained. The man handed Cinderella a new flute and asked what she planned to do with the old one. "I don't think anyone will mind if I keep it," she answered. Cinderella had hoped to learn how to play the flute. She wanted to make music for her animal friends. On her way home, Cinderella saw Corinne. "You sing beautifully," Cinderella said. "Do you really think so?" asked Corinne. "Anastasia said I sounded like a goose." "That's not true," Cinderella exclaimed. "Your voice is sweet as a songbird's. I have an idea." It was time for Corinne to see for herself how good she was. First, Cinderella had Corinne sing for the shopkeeper at the music store. Corinne, feeling a little shy, sang softly for him. "Charming," he said, the shopkeeper. The two friends then went to the bakery. This time, Corinne sang more confidently. The baker clapped, sending clouds of flour dust. At the perfumery, Corinne's voice was strong and full of energy. "Superb," cooed a patron. "You're so very talented." Corinne was delighted. At the next lesson, Lady Tremaine announced that Madame Laveau, a famous opera singer, would be coming the next day. She'd be selecting one student to teach with her. It was a chance of a lifetime. "I'll be right by your side for the audition," Cinderella told Corinne. "Just be yourself. Remember, your voice is as sweet as a songbird's." "Thank you," said Corinne. "You know, I really do think I'd have a chance." That night, as Cinderella was practicing the flute, her stepsisters and Lady Tremaine barged into her room. "That's my flute," shouted Anastasia. "Give it back." "You have no talent," Gisela scoffed. Lady Tremaine was furious. "You can't be trusted, Cinderella. You are forbidden from being anywhere near the salon tomorrow. I want you to be outdoors gathering firewood." "But I've already collected enough for winter," said Cinderella. "Then you will gather enough for 2 winters. When Corinne arrived at the salon the next day, she missed Cinderella. "You can't sing," sneered Gisela as Anastasia cackled. When it was Corinne's turn to audition for Madame Laveau, she opened her mouth to sing, but nothing came out. In the meantime, Cinderella's friends had been working with her since dawn to collect firewood. As soon as they finished, Cinderella ran inside, hoping to be in time for the audition. She arrived just as Gisela and Anastasia were warbling their way through an off-key duet. It was dreadful. Madame Laveau headed for her carriage. She hadn't found anyone who could be her student. Corinne told Cinderella what had happened. "It's not too late," Cinderella said. "If you believe in yourself, you can do anything." Corinne gave Cinderella a hug. "I think I'm ready to sing now." Cinderella called out to the opera star, "Madame Laveau, if you please, Corinne would love to sing for you," she said. Corinne stood right in front of Madame Laveau and sang in a voice that was sweet as a songbird's. "I have found the most talented student," Madame Laveau announced. "I predict Corinne will be a great star one day." Everyone applauded except Drizella and Anastasia. That night, Gus and Jacques brought Cinderella a surprise. "The flute," she gasped. "Oh, thank you." Cinderella promised she'd practice as much as possible so she could play a song for all of her friends. Back at the theater, Princess Cinderella hugged Corinne after the show. "Your voice is as sweet as ever," she said. "You had the whole audience under your spell." "Thank you," Corinne said. "I couldn't have done it without you, Princess." Suddenly, a young performer ran up to Corinne. "I did it," she said aloud. "I sang loud." "I heard you," said Corinne. "Your voice is as sweet as a songbird's." Princess Cinderella couldn't help but smile. The end. Such a wonderful story to end the night off. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys for our next fairy tale episode. Have a great day, have a great night, and have a happy Valentine's Day. Bye, everybody.